if you're ever doubting who God has called you to be, if you know that God has a calling and a purpose on your life, and then sometimes you're doubting it because of maybe somebody said something, or maybe you stepped out too soon and it didn't seem to go the way that you thought it would, right? And so you start to doubt yourself, you start to doubt the calling, and is this really the Lord speaking to me, or what happens if I say something and people are mean or they come against me, and like, who am I to speak up? Who am I to say that? Like if you have a prophetic calling and you're praying over somebody and God gives you a word and you're like wondering, is this really my thoughts? And we do have to be careful, of course, right? But sometimes we think, is this my thoughts, or is this the Lord? And you can get to discern his voice. You can dive into your relationship with him more and more, and through a lot of trials and refining and growth, you will get to know his voice more. But the whole purpose of this video is, if you know that you have a calling and you doubt and you don't step out when you feel God is calling to, this is a huge reason why not to stay back. Do not let yourself hold yourself back. Do not let the thoughts and opinions and the cares of what other people might think about you hold you back. Don't let your own doubts and insecurities and fears hold you back, because God wants to use you in mighty and amazing and powerful ways. And if you don't step out and do this, God will use somebody else, and you'll be sitting on the sidelines crying and saying, Lord, but you showed me that. Yeah, but you didn't step up. So I want to share something. I was at a prayer meeting earlier today with a local pastor and a few other people, and we were meeting with some other international ministers that are all across in Africa. And during the meeting, the pastor here, the local pastor, said, hey, we need to also pray because here in our country we have Donald Trump is being put back in as president here on the 20th, and that there is talk of something going to happen, like they may try to do something to interfere with that, right? And so I'm listening to this and I'm thinking immediately like, oh my gosh, I had a dream. I did have a dream just not very long ago, and it was about this chaos and this propaganda and stuff. And I was thinking, it seems so connected to what he was saying, and should I say something? But I didn't want to interrupt. And I'm like, there's all these great ministers and pastors and all these incredible people from across the world and here. And I'm like, who am I to speak up and say something, right? And then I was talking to my mother later. I love her so much. But I was talking to her later and told her about this, and I realized, wow, the 20th is literally in 2 days. I'm thinking it's like a week out, right? The 20th is when he gets put back in office again. And I was telling my mom, like, it's just like this dream that I had. And I write my dreams down. I wish I kept them all in one place, but I write them down on my phone, like in my notes. I have a Samsung phone, so I have Samsung Notes. So I'll write them down in there, or I'll write them down in one of my bazillion journals or whatever. Like, I write them all over the place. And I was just curious if I had possibly put it on my Samsung Note app. So I click on the app and I type in Obama, because this dream that I had included Obama. So I typed in Obama, and there was a couple notes that popped up, and one of them, it said it was another dream that I had from a long time ago, and I knew which one it was. But this other one, I was like, I wonder if this is it. And I clicked, and I scrolled down, and I found where I had written down the dream. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So on Samsung Notes, you have like the title of the note, and right under that, it will have the date of like the last time it was edited, or whenever you created it, whenever you created that note. If you haven't done any edits to it since, it has that date on there. And so I went back and I was like, I need to take a screenshot of this. Because if I ever touch it again, I want to make sure that this is literally, legitimately what Samsung Notes said the date is that I had last touched this note. So I did a screenshot. And I also had started to put on the title the dates, or in the note, I'll say the date of when I had the dream. And so this dream was 8/31, August 31st of 2024. And I'm going to read it here. So the dream, I actually have it, I'm recording on my phone. That's why it's vertical like this, but I have it pulled up here on my phone. And so the dream was about propaganda that was being shown on TV. There was a long line of, and this is crazy, I just want to pause really quick. In my dream, there was a long line of these, I thought, kind of like a weird, flat, military kind of vehicle. I have told people about this dream since I wrote it down. But I would just describe the parts that I remembered. And I would explain to people that there were these, they were wide, kind of flat looking, almost like a military vehicle, not like an actual military vehicle, but kind of like it. It was something weird. Like I didn't remember seeing like guns or anything on top of the vehicles, like some military vehicles have. But there was these vehicles and they were coming out of this tunnel, and like a long line of them, and there was like explosions and all this stuff happening, right? So going back to reading literally what I wrote down, that it was a dream about propaganda was being shown on TV. It was all over on the news. And there was a long line of Tesla Cybertrucks. This is legitimately what I wrote. Tesla Cybertrucks that were coming out of this big tunnel. It was like this wall. Like, I don't know how I saw it. Like it was far away, but I guess I was seeing it on a TV on the news. But it was like far away in the distance. And it looked like, I would almost describe deserty. Like it was just dry. I don't know. Just seemed dry. But there was like kind of like a wall and this tunnel, and these Cybertrucks were coming out. Tesla Cybertrucks coming out of the tunnel. And there was explosion all over. Okay, so I wrote down that they were driving through, deep sand. Yes, they were driving through deep sand. And then all of these other things that were meant to make Trump look bad, and essentially those who supported him. All of these things were happening that were meant to make Trump and his supporters look bad. Then Obama was on the side of the screen in the shadows and was slowly revealed. And I wrote, like, as people listened to the propaganda, that they would accept the propaganda. As they accepted the propaganda, then Obama started to become more visible so that he wouldn't stand out so much. Like the focus was on the propaganda, and you wouldn't think much about Obama being there suddenly. And when I write down my dreams, sometimes I'm just trying to get it out quick, because I have a number of things the Lord shows me, and I'm like, it's become almost, I don't want to say this in any wrong way, but I get so many words and dreams from the Lord that I'm like, I got to write this down really quick and then go, because I'll sit there and I'll write out all of the details, and it'll be like pages long, right? But essentially I was watching this TV screen, and on the left side of the screen while I'm watching, there was like this dark silhouette of a person, like the waist up, starting to slowly appear, like slowly become visible, until all of a sudden it was clearly Obama. But even though he's on the screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, Obama's on the screen, right? But on the side, you're still seeing all of the other chaos going on. And it was almost like they're like, look at this, oh my gosh, this thing and this thing. So there was the Tesla Cybertrucks, and it felt like they were military vehicles. So that's weird, because Tesla Cybertrucks are not actually a military vehicle, kind of, I guess you could maybe say military grade, I don't know. But it's just like, when I was talking to my mom and I looked on my phone and I was trying to see, hey, I wonder if I recorded or if I wrote down my dream on my phone. As soon as I saw that, these were Tesla Cybertrucks. There were explosions. There were things meant to make Trump and his supporters look bad. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I had felt before that I was supposed to post this dream. And I've had a number of dreams that I felt like, you need to post this. But I hesitate a lot. And that's a whole nother story. But I thought, oh, maybe I'll post it someday, or I was just kind of putting it to the side. I had told numerous people about it, but I never made a video and posted it. And so here it's like this propaganda, and they're like, look at this thing, and look at that thing, and look at this thing. And it's like they're trying to distract you. While behind the scenes, somebody else is there, and nobody even notices when he emerges, when he's visible. And what's really interesting, you think, is that when Obama got out of office, where did he go? He moved like right down the block from the White House, right? And there's actually a recording before an interview where Obama was saying, he couldn't be president again, but his ideal would be to be like in a sweatpants, in the basement, being like in somebody's ear, right? And what's interesting is that Biden and Kamala Harris both did not like each other. When Obama was in office and before all of this stuff, before Biden became president, Kamala Harris and Biden hated each other. But what they had in common is that they both worked for Obama. So how does somebody run a country who is an elderly, incoherent man? How do they run a country? There's somebody speaking in his ear. And why is it that Obama and Hillary Clinton were both so front center for so much? They were fighting for so much. And all of a sudden, when Biden gets in office, it's like, where'd they go? Right? It's like a magic act. Now, all of a sudden, it's like these things are happening. And while people are distracted, then everybody's looking at everything else. Nobody's realizing, hey, Obama's slowly emerging from the shadows again. It's interesting. Now, and there's still more to see where that goes, because I have not heard a lot about Obama. I don't know if you guys have heard much about Obama recently. I have not. As far as I'm concerned, he's just not in, he's just not like out in the limelight like he used to be. So my dream went on a little bit further, and I had forgotten about this part, so it's kind of strange to me. But in the dream, I also saw Morgan Freeman wearing a short-sleeved, tan-colored knit shirt and light khaki-colored pants. This is what I have written down. And part of his shirt was tucked in. He was talking about things, and I could tell he used to believe in God, but now he believed and taught something else that was easy to listen to and easily deceptive because it sounded good and genuine. He didn't seem happy, though. He was just lost in deep thought as he spoke. So I don't understand what that part of the dream meant. Sometimes I don't know until something happens. I'm like, wow, now it makes sense, right? And so I'm going to kind of leave it at that. But I started getting tears when I saw this. This was from August 31st. And almost 4 months later to the day, almost, right? So it was August 31st. And then it was on January 1st, I believe, that the Tesla Cybertrucks were blown up. They came from a military people, right? Rented the trucks, blew them up to make Trump and Elon Musk, who is also a Trump supporter, right? So just like my dream, to make Trump and Trump supporters look bad. There were explosions. There were Tesla Cybertrucks related to the military to make them look bad. And it's all propaganda. It's all over on the news so that we look at this and we don't look at something else that's happening behind the scenes. So if I could encourage you guys in anything, my heart is seek the Lord. And if he puts anything on your heart, don't let fear of man hold you back. Do not let fear and doubt keep you back from speaking like what God has put on your heart, what God shows you, what he reveals to you. If you know this calling that he has in your life, go and walk in it faithfully. Please, please, please go walk in your calling.